Safety in aviation has always been spelled in capital letters. We are responsible for the safety of the passengers and our employees who are entrusted to us. Safety was previously the prevention of accidents due to technical shortcomings or due to human factors. Today, civil aviation is threatened by other dangers, aircraft hijackings and sabotage, dangers which are very difficult to eliminate, increasing risks with each day and with each takeoff. To protect against violent acts on civil aviation, various methods have been applied internationally. Some airlines have assigned specially trained and equipped security agents to escort endangered flights, so-called Sky Marshals. Other airlines have installed technical protective devices in their aircraft. For example, armor-plated and permanently locked doors to the cockpit. TV installations for observation of the passenger cabin by a crew member. Behind the locked cockpit door is a TV monitor for pilots to observe activity in the cabin. Access to the cockpit will be given only to those who know a special code. Passenger and baggage screening prior to boarding the aircraft have proven to be the most significant preventive measures against aircraft hijackings and acts of sabotage. However, even the most elaborate searching methods and most modern technical equipment cannot eliminate the threat of hijacking, especially when they are expertly planned and carried out with great determination. Only those who know the behavior of saboteurs and aircraft hijackers, their weapons and technical equipment, may recognize the danger in advance and take prompt action.
Dann bitte einmal Spannen auslösen und das Objektiv abnehmen. Dann nehmen Sie bitte mal das Objektiv ab.
Modern airports, as in the past with their complicated operational procedures, will still now and in the future present vulnerable targets for acts of terror on account of thousands of passengers speaking different languages and with different mental attitudes being together in limited space. Chances are that there will not be many changes in this situation. Mr. Korsgaard, the explosives and weapons expert of the Federal Aviation Administration.
I'm Mr. Korsgaard. I'm from the Federal Aviation Administration. Would you like me to open this?
Yes, please open this suitcase.
What are you carrying this picture, sir? There are some training bombs.
Rarely will a terrorist personally carry his arsenal around with him as openly as it's being done by this specialist for demonstration purposes. A bomb consists of 5 components: a source of energy, perhaps a battery, an ignition device, for example, a retarder, in this case, an alarm clock, a means of ignition, for example, a blasting cap, the actual explosive, in this case, TNT, and the casing. As a general rule, all bombs are constructed in this manner, from the homemade device, in this case with a circuit breaker switch, to the professionally built military bomb. Explosive charges may be concealed in any imaginable wrapping, for example, a toy. Or disguised as a pocket umbrella. In a pack of cigarettes, an explosive charge in the form of a candle. Or perhaps as a concentrated charge inside a bra. The explosive charge itself can exhibit any imaginable color or form. Adhesive, even a shoe sole. Best qualified as igniters for bombs smuggled into aircraft are altitude detonators or delayed action fuses. In this case, an altitude detonator. With increasing altitude, a balloon will be inflated and activate the striker. The same system with peas, a retarder. Water inside a test tube expands the peas until after approximately 3 hours they activate the striker. When the electrical circuit is closed, the bomb will detonate. As learned from past experiences, trembler switches, as for example mercury switches, which activate the striker when the bomb is moved, are usually not used in aircraft bombings.
In this short time, we have only been able to discuss the basic ideas regarding bombs. However, from these basics can be developed 2 general rules. The first is if you have a closed container which is suspected of being a bomb, do not open it. And of course, do not cut or disconnect any wires. Secondly, use your radio as a means of obtaining technical assistance.
Despite intensive controls, it would appear that even in the future it would be difficult to prevent terrorists from carrying weapons and explosives on board an aircraft.
Keine Bewegung, wir schießen sofort. Keine Tricks. Alles Männer unter Kommando. Keine Tricks. Wir schießen sofort.
Lufthansa German Airlines has, based on social science research results and analysis by security experts, prepared recommendations how to minimize or even to eliminate the risk for passengers and crews during aircraft hijackings. These recommendations, which in the meantime have proven essential, have been displayed in the following movie.
Hey, los, los, keine falsche Bewegung.
Resistance would be useless, in fact dangerous. The captain and his crew are complying with the demands of the hijackers. Their reaction during this primary phase is correct.
Our research has proven that hijackers react psychologically normal. On one hand, they fall into psychic stress if they feel threatened or think that the achievement of their goal is in jeopardy. On the other hand, they're relaxed. They show readiness to make contact, and they even exhibit cheerfulness if they feel they will achieve their goal. By the way, this applies essentially to all types of hijackers, regardless of whether they're criminals, insane persons, or political fanatics. Derived from these facts, we advise not to attempt anything against the hijackers, but by the same token, not to act in an overbearing manner toward them, for this could arouse their suspicion. The main objective must be do everything the hijackers may demand and make them feel that they'll be successful.
The beginning phase of any hijacking is marked with extreme nervousness. This phase may last up to 3 hours. During this period of time, it is especially important that the crew keep their countenance and affect both passengers and hijackers in a comforting and pacifying manner. The more passengers there are on board, the higher the risk will be from the point of view of the hijackers, because it is difficult to keep a large number of passengers under control. Problems may arise if passengers want to act heroic and tend to act in a rash and inconsiderate manner. In many cases, the consumption of alcoholic beverages has considerably lowered, perhaps almost eliminated, any inhibitions. Therefore, the cabin crew has to pay special attention to them. The hijackers in the cabin have to be approached with the utmost caution. As they themselves, unlike their leader in the cockpit, have to follow orders, it is more likely for them to show violence. Their tendency to use their weapon is especially high. The captain wants to inform the passengers of the situation as soon as possible. The ringleader considers the captain an equal, so he allows him to do this. The captain requests that the passengers follow the instructions of the hijackers. He says the passengers should not try to be heroes and should avoid any spontaneous action. He asks everyone to remain calm and not to drink any alcoholic beverages, so that all aboard will arrive safely, wherever that may be.
Wir alle, Sie, ich und die Entführer haben ein gemeinsames Ziel. Wir möchten nämlich heil und gesund wieder auf Mutter Erde ankommen, wo immer das auch sein mag.
As soon as the hijackers notice that the hijacking is running according to their plans, they'll become calmer. This is the beginning of an extended phase of relaxation and establishing of contacts. At the beginning, they'll still be nervous, irritable, and difficult to communicate with.
In order to demonstrate their superiority and also in order to gain a certain degree of security for themselves, the hijackers attach explosive charges inside the aircraft. This way, they demonstrate they are not bluffing. By giving explanations and instructions to the crew, the passengers and ground control sections, the terrorists express their goals. They will attempt to justify their actions.
Okay, stand by, please. One of our passengers wants to make a statement. Stand by 1 second. Stand by.
Wir haben die Gewalt über diese Maschine übernommen.
The hijackers announce that they have taken over command of the aircraft and that the plane is now headed toward the Mediterranean. They demand $1 million ransom, as well as a 707 getaway aircraft in Frankfurt. The ultimatum will run out at 3 a.m., and if the hijackers' demands have not been met by then, they threaten to blow up the aircraft with everyone aboard.
Sie gefährden nur das Leben der Passagiere.
Okay, give you back to the class. Okay, Lufthansa Frankfurt.
The captain assures ground personnel that the hijackers do mean what they say.
Und es ist bitte ernst, was Sie meinen. Over, I call you later. Okay, Captain, where the stewardess by the flight house. Thank you.
Hier, gib mir die Decke.
Gradually, the strain will decrease again to a certain point. The hijackers will prove willing and ready to take up contact with responsible personnel and now and then join in a conversation.
Gib mir was zu trinken. Eine Cola.
It is, however, important to leave the initiative in this respect up to them. They must always think that they are in charge of things and masters of the situation.
Ja.
Wir befinden uns hier kurz vor Elba und müssen...
The captain is the most important man on board. He has to build up the hijackers' confidence with flight technical conversation. The easiest way to succeed in this will be to consider the terrorist demand or to offer them an alternate destination or goal which would be to their advantage. But he too has to ensure that the terrorists retain the feeling that they are in charge and that they alone order what is to be done. If it is difficult to reach an agreement, the captain, as an expert, can by all means also proceed in a firm manner towards the hijackers. He also should relay the feeling to them that only the entire cockpit crew as a team can guarantee the safe performance of a flight, that without the assistance of each crew member, their efforts are doomed, and that there is only a limited time in which the cockpit crew can function properly. In the past, the terrorists have recognized their lack of confidence and finally had to comply. Generally, the cockpit crew should avoid making any moves which might upset the hijackers. Any unusual moves should be explained in advance. This way, the likelihood of any distrust among the terrorists can usually be avoided.
Okay, mach ich. Okay, Hijackers, kann ich jetzt mal meine Bank umschalten? Wir haben 7 Tanks und ich muss sie in einem bestimmten...
By involving the hijackers in professional conversation, their aerotechnical knowledge can be estimated. This way, one can also consider the risks of forcing the terrorists to compromise by shutting down a vital component. The risk of any intentional damage to onboard gear must, however, be weighed in advance.
So, wenn Sie irgendwelche Fragen haben, kann ich Ihnen das ruhig noch erklären hier.
Hätte ich auch was dagegen als Mann.
Würde ich auch sagen. Das wird schon ein Jahr so.
Hast du noch ein Bild von dem?
During this phase, discussions may arise between the hijackers and the hijacked. Now, the possibilities for closer personal contact and, as a result, the possibility to influence someone starts to stand out. It's advisable, especially for the stewardesses, to make conversations about personal or intimate problems.
Nein, das nicht.
Zivile Kleidung.
Nein, wir haben das noch.
In case of political fanatics, it's useless to debate political opinions. The danger is too great that due to this, tempers will enliven and emotional tension increase again.
Ja, ich würde das machen, wenn ich heiraten würde.
As soon as the terrorists agree, food and drink should be served. The sooner the better, because eating and drinking will ease the tension and relax all involved. But even now, one should see to it that no alcoholic beverages are served. Caution, do not whisper or make coded signals, as the hijackers still are untrusting and irritable. It is necessary to still keep an eye on the passengers and, as far as necessary, restrain them from any rash acts or conduct.
This first phase of communication and relaxation will last only as long as the hijackers feel they are not being deceived and that no diversionary attacks are being started. Our research has shown that nervousness and the susceptibility of being adversely affected in some manner have always rapidly increased again whenever the terrorists felt they were not being taken seriously, but being deceived. Immediately, everyone on board became contrary again, and the hijackers threatened to kill passengers or crew members or even blow up the aircraft. On the other hand, being able to attain certain goals, at least partially, has always created a feeling of renewed optimism. The situation has eased noticeably. Important criteria for future consideration by the command post may be derived from this knowledge.
The command post is comprised of representatives from the board of directors, flight operations, traffic management, and also of psychologists, security experts, a company spokesman, and police representatives. The command post is in constant contact with the security authorities, the government representatives, and with air traffic control. Unlike the crew of the hijacked aircraft, detached from personal threats, the command post can make decisions which will substantially contribute toward further relaxation of tension on board.
bekannt geben sollen, die würde ich meinen, kann man rauslassen. Wir bestätigen nur, dass eine Boeing 747 der Lufthansa in der Kabine läuft. Ja, Kapitännamen rauslassen. Ja, Kapitännamen würde ich auch nicht sagen. Ja, aber der Name läuft ja auch über den UKW.
It is important that all decisions are made unanimously by the experts in the command post. So-called democratic voting is of no benefit because this could lead to opposition within the command post.
Checken mit der ganzen Station unten nicht, ob die versuchen können, ihn zu rufen.
Also das heißt wahrscheinlich, die können in jedem Fall mithören, ob was hier bisher gesagt hat.
Ja, das ist wichtig. Jetzt, Moment.
Whatever decisions are being made, the main object of the command post must be to gain time, but simultaneously to encourage the terrorists in their feelings that they are in control of the situation and that they are, at least partly, achieving their goals. It is important to establish that delaying measures directly result from the activities of the hijackers. It must also appear that refusals of certain demands are due to circumstances beyond human control, or that the terrorists themselves are responsible for temporary delays.
Über Stückelung oder über
Das nächste Mal, wenn er wieder dran ist, nicht calm down, ruhig bleiben.
It is important that the contact between the ground and the hijacked aircraft is maintained only by the captain. He must be the main spokesman so that his expert authority is not undermined. Furthermore, he can best survey the entire situation on board and ease the tasks of the command post with objective information. But beware, to transmit secretly information about the number and type of weapons and about the hijackers is extremely risky. Therefore, only transmit coded messages to the ground when it's absolutely assured that the terrorists are not aware of it. Each action that is not previously explained to the hijackers represents an extremely high risk for the crew and the passengers. Therefore, at stopovers for fueling and outside checks, leave the aircraft only with the permission of the terrorists. Anything else could be misinterpreted as an attempt to escape and could result in serious consequences. If possible, always remain in full view of the hijackers and never stay outside the aircraft for any unreasonable length of time.
During the course of the hijacking, the behavior patterns already shown can frequently recur. Depending on how the terrorists feel and how the situation develops, we differentiate between phases of extreme nervousness and phases of tranquility and relaxation. In fact, phases close to euphoria. This constant progression and regression of excitement and nervousness on the part of the hijackers can be explained on this chart. At the beginning, the curve will ascend very rapidly up to the irritation threshold. We call this emotional intoxication. As soon as the terrorists feel that things are developing according to their plans, the curve will slightly descend again. However, in case of any disturbance, it will again rapidly go up. During the further course of the hijacking, the curve will continue descending, depending on how the terrorists feel they are progressing, until, toward the end of the hijacking, it will terminate in a sort of euphoria.
If you follow these rules, and when sufficient time has elapsed, a constantly increasing psychological torment develops. The terrorists are getting more careless and susceptible. Their willpower to be successful can diminish to such an extent that they finally will give up. The general rule of thumb is, with an individual perpetrator, this condition can be reached after 6 to 12 hours. In comparison, it will take a group of 4 to 6 members to reach this condition from 4 to 6 days.
It's not possible to give steadfast rules or set instructions. However, some instructions can be derived from the research conducted by us. If you act according to our instructions, the danger of possible escalation is relatively low. Submit to the demands of the hijackers. Make them feel that they are in control of the situation. Check out the aerotechnical knowledge of the hijackers by discrete technical discussions. Submit alternate suggestions, and if necessary, be emphatic. In order to gain time, make the hijackers feel that they are attaining their goal. Make the hijackers feel that they are personally responsible for delays. If possible, avoid serving any alcoholic beverages. Avoid political discussions with the hijackers. Relay information to the ground only when you are absolutely sure that the terrorists are not aware of it. Leave the aircraft for outside checks only with consent of the hijackers, and do not stay outside for any unreasonable length of time.